Paul Amadeus Dienach. Imagine slipping into a coma and waking up, not just in the same world, but centuries into the future. This is the incredible story of Paul Amadeus Dienach, a man whose life was as mysterious as the future he claimed to see. Paul Amadeus Dienach was a Swiss-Austrian teacher born in 1884. A man of modest means, he led a quiet life, teaching languages and writing poetry. But in 1921, his life took an extraordinary turn when he fell gravely ill and slipped into a coma for over a year. Doctors had little hope for Dienach's recovery. But when he finally awoke, his story was nothing short of astounding. According to Dienach, while his body remained in the 20th century, his consciousness had traveled forward, nearly 2,000 years into the future. Dienach claimed he had lived in the body of a man named Andreas Northam, a citizen of the year 3906. He described a world vastly different from his own, a utopia where humanity had overcome war, disease, and suffering. Technology and spirituality had advanced hand in hand, creating a harmonious global society. After his recovery, Dienach meticulously documented his experiences in a journal. He described humanity's struggles through centuries of war, environmental collapse, and rebirth, ultimately leading to the peaceful era he had witnessed. Dienach never intended for his writings to be widely known. He confided in one of his students, George Papachotsis, who later published the journal in 1972. The book, The Valley of the Roses, stirred controversy, with some hailing it as a prophetic vision and others dismissing it as fiction. To this day, Paul Amadeus Dienach's story remains a mystery. Was he a visionary gifted with a glimpse of humanity's destiny? Or was it the vivid imagination of a man yearning for a better future? One thing is certain, his story continues to inspire curiosity and debate. The tale of Paul Amadeus Dienach reminds us that the line between reality and imagination can be thin. Perhaps somewhere in the future, the world he described is waiting for us. What do you believe? According to Paul Amadeus Dienach's writings, his visions of the future world in the year 3906 were vivid and detailed. Here's a deeper dive into his descriptions of the future based on his journal. 1. A unified and harmonious world. Dienach described the year 3906 as a utopia, a world where humanity had overcome its greatest challenges. National borders were no longer relevant, and humanity functioned as a single global civilization. Wars, social inequality, and poverty were relics of the past. People lived in harmony with one another and with nature. 2. Advanced technology and balance with spirituality. In the future, technology had reached unprecedented levels, but it wasn't purely materialistic. Dienach emphasized that technological advancements were deeply intertwined with spiritual and ethical growth. Machines and artificial intelligence were used to enhance human well-being, not to dominate or exploit. The ethereal body and human evolution. Dienach mentioned a concept called the ethereal body, which represented the spiritual evolution of humanity. People of the future were said to have a heightened sense of consciousness and awareness. Their understanding of life and the universe extended beyond material existence, fostering a deeper connection with the cosmos. The Great Transition, in 2300s. Dienach's journal described a period in the 2300s as the Great Transition, a time of immense upheaval and change. Humanity faced existential crises, including wars, environmental disasters, and societal collapse. This period forced humanity to reflect and eventually transform, leading to the utopia of 3906. The Valley of the Roses. One of the most striking images Dienach shared was that of the Valley of the Roses, a symbolic representation of the peaceful, idyllic future world. This valley was said to be a place where humans and nature coexisted perfectly, representing the harmony achieved by future generations. 6. Governance and society. In this future world, governance was no longer hierarchical or authoritarian. Instead, society was governed by a council of wise individuals who had no desire for power or wealth. Decisions were made based on collective well-being and universal principles of fairness and compassion. 7. The end of consumerism and materialism. Material wealth and consumerism were no longer driving forces in society. People had shifted their focus toward intellectual, artistic, and spiritual pursuits. Resources were shared equitably, and greed had vanished. 8. A world without disease. Medical science had advanced to the point where diseases were virtually eliminated. Physical and mental health were maintained effortlessly, allowing people to live long, fulfilling lives. Time. Education and knowledge. Education was universal and lifelong. People of the future placed great value on learning, creativity, and self-discovery. Knowledge was no longer hoarded or restricted. Instead, it was freely accessible to all. 10. The decline of individuality, as we know it. While individuality was respected, it was no longer emphasized in the same way as in the 20th century. People saw themselves as integral parts of a greater whole, working together for the collective good. This shift in mindset was seen as a key factor in achieving harmony. These descriptions were interwoven with Dienach's reflections on humanity's resilience and potential for greatness. Whether taken as a prophetic vision or an elaborate metaphor, his story continues to captivate readers and provoke questions about our own future.